Well, good afternoon, and thank you for joining today's webinar. My name is Bobby Haggard, and I'm with Trendsoft, and we're excited to partner with Marvin Crosno and his team at AccountingWare to bring you today's webinar titled How to Streamline Your Financial Reports with the Next Generation of ActivReporter. As most of you know, ActivReporter is a great Excel-based reporting tool, and I certainly look forward to learning even more about some of the new features and capabilities coming out in the second generation of ActivReporter. A quick reminder here at the conclusion of the webinar, please remember to fill out the survey for a chance to win an Amazon gift card. With that, I'd like to introduce Marvin and let you take it away. Marvin?
Thank you, Bobby, and thank you for all the attendees for your time today talking about ActivReporter Generation 2. For just a few minutes here, what I want to do is talk through a few slides. The first slide is introducing ourselves. We are AccountingWare, and we have been in the software business and the accounting software business for over 40 years. The product that we're going to talk about today, ActivReporter, is just one of our many products. When Microsoft announced that they were no longer going to further enhance the management reporter product, then we decided we could introduce our ActivReporter product because we have a lot of experience in interfacing Excel directly to an ERP system. So the ActivReporter product has been in development for about 15 years. And as I said, when Microsoft made that announcement, we said we could add value to the GP community. We introduced the product in 2017, a little over 4 years ago, and then the G2 product that we're going to show you today was announced just last fall at GPUG 2021. When we talk about Excel financial reporting, we really talk about what it means to interface to Excel. Well, I want to give you some comparisons. And the first comparison I want to give you is Management Reporter. And in Management Reporter, you export to Excel. And once you export your spreadsheet to Excel, you have no tieback to the original data. You only have the Excel spreadsheet. So any modification that you do to the Excel spreadsheet, you lose. There are other products that generate Excel spreadsheets. And these reports are like Jet Reports and BI 360. They do generate the Excel output. They allow tieback to the GP data, but any modification you make to that spreadsheet after it's generated is lost the next time you generate the spreadsheet. Well, I point out these two items to you because ActivReporter is much different than this. ActivReporter is just Excel, and you have full tieback to your GP data. You can edit the spreadsheet after you get it produced. It dynamically changes. You do not lose any of your edits to the spreadsheet because it is just Excel. We have added about 50 functions to the Excel product, and it is just Excel. There is no export, there's no generation. And we'll be showing you this in just a few minutes in the demonstration. Okay, so I want to talk just a little bit about the ActivReporter feature set. We're going to show a subset of it today. The first thing we're going to show you is financial reporting using Excel, and that's what we've talked about so far in comparison to Management Reporter. We also not only have the Excel reporting functionality, but we also have the ability to take a Management Reporter report and with very little work, transition that from Management Reporter to ActivReporter. So this is the first thing we'll show is Excel reporting, Excel financial reporting. We also have great visibility into the Dynamics GP general ledger data. And this is like a smart list because you can look into your GP data in the ActivReporter product without going to smart list or without going to the GP product itself. And we'll be showing that to you also. It's like smart list, but smart list on steroids. And then the third thing that we're going to show today is something called the active trial balance. And this is a trial balance that like you've never seen before because it is active, it is alive, it reacts immediately to any changes that you make in your Dynamics GP data. So these are the three things we're going to concentrate on. There's really a fourth thing, it's really fast, and there's a fifth thing, it's really affordable. Now I know some of you may have seen the product before and may have our current users. But hold on, we're going to show you some very interesting things about the Generation 2 product at the end of the presentation. Okay, so when we demonstrate the product Excel reporting, we like to show the finished product first. We're going to show you what the Excel spreadsheet looks like and how you use it once you get these Excel spreadsheets built. And then we're going to step back and show you how to build these Excel spreadsheets. Okay, with that, we're going to put away our PowerPoint presentation and we're going to get right into the demonstration. And as I said earlier, what we want to do first is we want to show you a finished spreadsheet and what its functionality is with the ActivReporter product. So before, in the front of you, you see an Excel spreadsheet. And what's unique about this Excel spreadsheet is that for any number on this spreadsheet, you can click on that number and you can, by hitting the little down arrow next to it, drill down to all the underlying detail in this that makes up that $5.7 million. And you'll notice that for this $5.7 million, down in the bottom left-hand corner, there are 2,322 items that make up that 5.7 million. You can look at any one of those items by scrolling through it. If you find an item that you want to drill down further on, you can take any one of these items, like this item for $320 here, and with a single keystroke, drill back and see that item in Dynamics GP. So here is that product. Here is that data in Dynamics GP for $320 in Dynamics GP. And of course, once you get into Dynamics GP, you can drill back to the source document in Dynamics GP. So once again, the experience that you'll have once you get your spreadsheets built is that you'll be able to take any number on that spreadsheet and drill down to the underlying detail. In this case, there's 2,516 of them. And then for any one of those items that you want to further investigate, we can, with a single keystroke, drill back to Dynamics GP. Now I want to talk just a few minutes about this drilling down to the underlying detail, these 2,516 items. With Management Reporter, you also have the ability to drill back or drill down to detail, but in that case, you only see current period transactions. You don't see all of the transactions. You also just get a list. It's a searchable list, but with our listing of in the Drill Down Explorer here, you can sort by the debits. So here is sorting by the debits in ascending and descending order, by the credits, by the posting date, by the accounts that are involved. So you have a lot of ability to research that drill down. You can also look at any one of the journals, like you can look at just the payroll journal, or you could look at just the sales journal. Or you may want to look for a particular posting and a certain range of debits or credits. So if I want to, I can look at everything between $400 and $4,000. So here are all the postings between $400 and $4,000. So you have a lot of research capability in that first level drill down with the ActivReporter product. Okay, so now that we've seen what you can do and what your functionality is going to be once you get your spreadsheets built, let's look at all the kinds of things that you can build in those spreadsheets. This first example that we have up here is a balance sheet. It's a nice balance sheet because the assets are on the left and the liabilities and capital are on the right. But down here in the tabs, we can also see that we can drill down to and make a departmental report. So this is just one of the departments within our sample company. We could also look at income statement by year. So this is talking about monthly financials by year. We can also do the trailing 12 months or something like the trailing 4 years. This statement is a little different because in most Management Reporter reports, you're used to seeing your accounts or account aggregations down the vertical axis and your time across the horizontal axis. But since Management Reporter is just Excel and just Excel with added functions, we can put anything in any cell in any order that we want. So in this case, we're putting time down the vertical and account aggregation across the horizontal. And if we look at one of these formulas like this $147,000, we see that that formula is an activity. That means the net debits and credits during a period of time in your accounting system. If we look at another one of these, like going back to the balance sheet and looking at one of these numbers here on the balance sheet, and look at this is a balance function. So those are just two of the many functions that ActivReporter adds to Excel. You can see them all up here in the ribbon. So these are the numeric functions, the activity, balance, debit and credit, and year-to-date debits and credits. We also have functions dealing with descriptions. We have functions dealing with individual accounts. We have functions dealing with periods and time frames. And we have functions dealing with the company. So we use all of those functions in these presentations that we're showing you and build up the spreadsheet. So ActivReporter is just Excel with added functions. Let's look at a couple of more examples. Here's a cash flow example. We can do either direct or indirect cash flow. We also have the ability to do multiple companies. If you have multiple GP databases like Fabricam and Gabricam here, these are multiple GP databases. University is the third database. We can pull all of those together and do a consolidated statement. Now, in the case of the university, they're using a segment of the chart of account number to delineate companies, or in their case, funds. So we also can produce financials based upon a segment of the chart of account number if you're using a product like multi-entity management and that kind of product. And so we can separate out the companies there and still do a consolidated. We also can work with different fiscal years. Fabricam and Gabricam are both in calendar years, and the university is a July to June calendar. So we can combine any of those and make a statement. And we can do boardroom type reporting. And this is a nice report because this particular report, you can see that we have a balance sheet over here on the left. We have an income statement over here on the right, and we have a graphs in the middle and a picture of the company headquarters at the top. So people ask us, can you do X in ActivReporter? And the answer we give is, can you do it in Excel? And if you can say, yes, I can do it in Excel, then we can say, yes, we can do it in ActivReporter, because ActivReporter is just Excel. Excel with all of these functions added to it up here in the activity ribbon that we talked about a few minutes ago. Okay, so what we wanted to do first is we wanted to show you samples of what you can do and the functionality that you are going to experience with ActivReporter once you have your financial statements built. But what we promised to do next is to show you how to build these financial statements. First of all, though, I want to go and show you the interface that ActivReporter provides to your Dynamics GP data. If you're thinking about Management Reporter really doesn't have an interface into your Dynamics GP data. That's just a program to facilitate the production, the design and production of your financial designs. But ActivReporter is much different, because in ActivReporter, over here in my menu, in my navigation bar, I have these 6 companies: Fabricam, Fabricam SR, Gabricam, Habricam, Mabricam, and University. And for any one of those companies, I can expand it, and I can look at the chart of accounts in Fabricam SR. I can do the same thing down here in University, expand that, and look at the chart of accounts for the university. In the university's case, there are 22,926 down in the bottom left-hand corner. And this shows you our smart list on steroids. I can scroll all the way down through those 22,000 accounts, and they came up almost instantaneously. A smart list would take several minutes to produce those 22,926 items. We also have visibility into the journal entries. In this case, there's 5,078 journal entries in this Fabricam SR. We can also look at the single leg journal entries. And if we look at this, there's 113,270. And I can sort them by the posting date, and they almost come up instantaneously. By the account, I can also filter those to something like the purchasing journal. So I have a lot of abilities within the ActivReporter product to do things like you're doing a smart list, but many, many times faster. And even if you're on one of these, you can also drill back to Dynamics GP. So if you find this $431.56 you want to look at, you can just click a single keystroke and drill back to Dynamics GP. Okay, so what we really want to do now is show you how to produce your financial designs in ActivReporter. So you'll notice that a few minutes ago we had a financial design and we opened that financial design. That financial design was here on our desktop, and it's that Showcase 2022 G2 Excel spreadsheet. But we really like for our customers to store their spreadsheets inside the database. And this is an example. We can go to the folder here where we store our financial designs. And this is a little unusual because we're storing the .xlsx file inside the database, not inside the Windows file system. And this gives us a lot of capabilities that you don't get if you store it in the file system. For example, I can open that same workbook that's stored inside the database. This is that same workbook that I opened a few minutes ago from the desktop, and you'll recognize the functionality there immediately. We do have to give it a date. But if I store it inside the database, then also look that I have all my historical versions. So here's a version of that spreadsheet that started back in October of 2021. It's gone through 14 different revisions, and I can call any one of those revisions up and just look at it or restore it to be the current version. If you store it in the Windows file system, you only have the latest version out there. You don't have the whole history. So this gives you a lot of independence with your IT department, because if you mess up a spreadsheet and want to restore it from the end of last month, you can do so yourself. You don't have to call IT and get them to restore it from a backup. So historical versions are one reason why we store it inside the database. I point that out because the next thing we're going to do is we're going to open a brand new spreadsheet. We're going to open it inside and create it inside the database. So I'm going to open a new version, and I'm going to call this Trensoft Financial. And this is just a name that I give it, just like you give the name to a workbook. And once I give it the name, then I'm going to open the workbook, and this is going to open an Excel spreadsheet. It's a blank Excel spreadsheet. But in order for me to put numbers on that spreadsheet in the background, I need a date reference. I need a reference to pull in the financial information out of your accounting system. So in this case, I'm going to give it April of 2017. Now for the first few minutes here, we're going to show you the detailed way of building a financial, one cell at a time. But after that, we're going to show you a way that you can, using a wizard, build these financials very rapidly. And so hold on for a minute. We're going to do it one cell at a time to begin with, then we're going to go show you how to use the wizard. Well, if I'm producing, say, a balance sheet, I would want to go up here into the top of the balance sheet and put the name of the company in the, say here, D1. Well, I could type in the name of the company, Fabricam, F-A-B-R-I-K-A-M, but we have functions to do that. We have a company name function, and I'm going to use that company name function and put in the name of the company here in D1. I'm going to go, since this is just Excel, I'm going to color it red. I'm going to make it a lot bigger. I'm going to make it bold. And I can do all this because ActivReporter, all it is just a set of functions that we have added to your native functions in Excel. And you are able to pull data out of your Dynamics GP database and put them onto a spreadsheet using those functions. Well, below the name of the company, I'll probably want to put something like the date that this financial is as of. And remember, we have date functions, so we can pull in the period as of period ending. And why does it pull up April 30th? Because when I first went into the spreadsheet, I said I want every number and all the references to this spreadsheet being based in April of 2017. If I change that from April to May of 2017 and say, okay, you'll notice you didn't even see it. It happened so quickly that my date here is as of May 31st, 2017, because that's the end of that May fiscal period. Well, the next thing I'd probably want to do is put some accounts or account aggregations over here in, say, B5. So I can do that because we have the ability to pull in accounts. So I want to pull in the account description of the account 000-1100-00-A. Now the A is something that ActivReporter automatically adds to the account structure in Dynamics GP. You don't have to worry about it. The reason why we put that there is because we're looking at the actual posted data, and that's in deference to the budget data, or if you use some of the reporting ledgers like IFRS ledgers, there are other things that you can put in there to call in that reporting ledger. So that brings in the name of the company or the name of the account, cash and bank. And then over here in G5, I would want to put the balance of the cash and bank. Well, remember, we have functions for balance, but also I've said several times that we're built into Excel. So I'm going to go here to the function insert wizard in Excel, and I'm going to go to the activity financial functions, and I'm going to use the balance function from here. This just shows you that we're really built into Excel. You don't have to use our ribbon at all. So I'm going to bring in the balance function. And now every financial number on this spreadsheet, every financial function that ActivReporter has added to Excel takes 5 parameters. It takes the period, that's the date. Well, if you don't put anything for the date, it brings it in as of May 31st, 2017, because that's the base date in Management Reporter. That is the date that we're going to talk about. It has 2 parameters or 2 filters for the accounts that we're going to bring in. It has a company filter because you can write reports for multiple companies here. So it could be for one of these other companies like Gabricam or Habricam. And it also has the ability to bring in foreign currencies, and you do that with the units. So I'm going to bring in the account 000-1100. I want to say gl.account is equal to 000-1100-00-A. And once I do that, it brings in a number 700 and something. So I'll go back to my home button. I will format that with a comma, 725,193.80. Now, how am I assured that that is the cash and bank corporate account? I'm assured of that because I can drill down and look at all the postings. I can see that if I sort the postings in ascending and descending order by account, all of them are to that same 000-1100-00-A. And I can also look and see the date because I can sort in ascending and descending order for the date. And the last posting here is as of, and I need to take off my debit and credit filter. But if I take off my debit and credit filter, the last posting is in May of 2017. So that is the balance of the cash and bank account as of May 31st, 2017. Now, we're not in a situation where we can let people ask questions in a webinar, so I want to pose my own question. You'll know that in Management Reporter, if you make a posting into your Dynamics GP database, and then you want to have that reflected in your Management Reporter report, you have to regenerate the report. So what happens now in ActivReporter, if I go over here into Dynamics GP and I make a posting in Dynamics GP, and I'm going to do that quickly. I'm just going to go to my general posting. I'm going to make a batch so that it doesn't put it into the base area, or it'll be unposted. So I'm going to call that batch XYZ. I'm going to add that as a new batch, save that. I'm going to make this posting somewhere before May 31st of 2017. Let's say 05/01/17, and I'm going to give it a reference. 33, and now I'm going to post into this account 000 1100 00, and I'm going to put in $1 million. And so if this works, then that number in my spreadsheet should go from 725,000 to 1,725,000. And then I'm going to make my offsetting posting to 000. And since I don't know the accounts here, we'll put it in 1104 and put $1 million in 1104 also. And I'm going to save that batch. So as soon as I save the batch, I'll look over here in my spreadsheet, nothing happened. But what happens if I hit the F9 key? As soon as I hit the F9 key, if my field were wide enough, I get $1,725,000. So you don't have to wait a minute or 3 minutes for your management reporter report to be able to catch up to your postings. You can see them immediately. All you do is hit the F9 key and you see your postings. Okay, so I said that we were going to show you the cell by cell approach first, but now I'm going to show you the fast way to build financial designs. And I'm going to save this financial design, and I'm going to save my container. And you'll notice that I have created my first version at 27 minutes past the hour. But now let's go right back into that same financial design, TrendSoft Financial, and let's look at a second spreadsheet. Let's look at the sheet number 2 here, and we're going to show you how to build these rapidly with the information using our wizard. So up here in the layout area, there is something called the layout wizard, and all your standard financials are here. Your balance sheet, current versus your balance sheet, and second area of your balance sheet, income statements, and trial balances. What I'm going to do first here is create a balance sheet of current versus prior year. This tells me I want a column for the current year and a column for the prior year, but it doesn't tell me what I want to put on my rows. So I can use this pop-up and I can say I want every account in the chart of account to be listed as a row, but that would be more like a trial balance, not a balance sheet. I could also use part of the segments of my charts of account, or I could use account aggregates. Now the default aggregate in Dynamics GP is categories. Now I know many of you who use things like Management Reporter have graduated and you don't use categories any longer, but you use row definitions. In a few minutes, we'll see that we can do that also. But for this first example, I want to use the categories restricted to the balance sheet. And so now I've produced this financial with a wizard, and it does so very rapidly, and I didn't have to fill it in cell by cell. Now you'll notice here that I have on purpose left some accounts out of my chart of accounts and accounts out of my design. And what happens in Management Reporter when you do that? You get a Management Reporter report, and then you find out if the balance sheet doesn't balance, you might have to go look for accounts that are missing. But we tell you that right on the spreadsheet, right as you build it. We can do troubleshooting. We can tell you that there's some things wrong with this financial before you ever produce that. The financial that we're presenting here is not quite complete. It is not finished, in addition to maybe an error being shown. We need to make some modifications. So I'm going to go in and delete one set of headers. I'm going to put the word assets into another area here. And then I'm going to go down and I'm going to split apart some of these rows, put in some white space. So I'll insert some white space. But everything that you need to do to take and create a finished spreadsheet from this template spreadsheet that the wizard builds is just Excel. And you know how to do Excel. I'm going to put a subtotal at the bottom here. I'm going to take that subtotal. I'm going to put a $sign on it. I'm going to copy that into the next column. Everything, all the hard work is done by the wizard, and all you need to do is use your Excel expertise and dress this up, put color on it, put graphs on it, do anything that you want to do to make this a finished final copy, in this case, a balance sheet. Well, you'll notice that up here in the top, I have 3 rows and I have 3 columns to the left that are colored in green. Now, many of our competitors will use these as reserved areas. You better not mess too much in those reserved areas because you might break all the logic used to produce the spreadsheet. That is not true with ActivReporter. All we're doing in these green areas with ActivReporter is something called dereferencing your variables. So if I look at any function down here, any number down here in the spreadsheet, and I look at the formula, that formula has dereferenced all of its variables to appear here in G1, G2, F2, and in A13 and B13. So all we're doing is dereferencing the variables, which is just good, smart usage of Excel. It is not a reserved area as in our competitors' products. Now, why do we do this? We do this, one, because it's good practice in Excel, but secondly, we do that because it's really easy to extend our spreadsheets. So right now in column G, we have the year 2017. In column H, we have the year 2016. What if we want to put 2015 in column I? All we need to do, because all of our variables are dereferenced, is to copy column H, paste it into column I, and change the one variable, current minus 1 year, to current minus 2 years, and I'm literally finished. It even put the correct year number here, 2015. So you see, if we dereference our variables, we could build a 10-year balance sheet very easy. Just copy, paste, change a variable name or change a variable value. And also, what if we have the actuals in column G? What if we want the budgets in column H? Let's just copy column G and let's insert it into column H. And let's change this one value from the A actual to the B budgets, and I'm finished. And if we want to put a variance in, we can just insert a column here. We can call this a variance column. And all we need to do is create the formula in Excel to compare 2017 budget to 2017 actual. And you know how to do all of that. So my point here is that once we build a template, all you need to do is go in and label it. You need to put in some subtotals. You may need to extend it by cut and paste, but all the hard work is done. And then, of course, you can hide the green areas if you want to. There is a ribbon area up here. And if we want to hide the non-print areas, all we have to do is click that, and it will hide all of those non-printable areas. And if you want to see the problems that are presented with this red bold banner up here, you can see those in the log, and this will tell you exactly what you need to do in order to make this particular financial design accurate. And those are that's one of the things that we've added in G2, is the ability to have better logging and on-screen warning of when there are missing accounts. Okay, so we've produced a second financial here, a sheet number 2. I'm going to go save this sheet number 2, and you'll notice that I have a version as of 27 minutes past the hour and as of 34 minutes past the hour. Now, I know probably many of you are using Management Reporter. So I want to take just a few minutes and show you how we can transition from Management Reporter to ActivReporter. And you'll notice that what I'm bringing up here is the Management Reporter Designer. And these are the report definitions in Management Reporter. I'm going to look at this very first one, the F balance sheet, and I'm going to bring up that report definition. And the most tedious thing to do from converting from Management Reporter to ActivReporter, or indeed the most tedious thing to do in Management Reporter, is the row definitions, because that's where you do all of your account aggregation, is in the row definition. Well, ActivReporter provides a product a program that allows you to take these row definitions from Management Reporter and convert them into ActivReporter into a concept that we call rollups. Rollups and row definitions are analogous concepts. They're just called different things in ActivReporter and Management Reporter. So we have a program, create a new rollup from a Management Reporter row. We can start that program. We must give it authentication to get into the Management Reporter databases. And now I have a list of all those Management Reporter row definitions. If you look down this list, this is the first 12 that are on this list in the background here for these row definitions. I'm going to select the very first one, number 1, and it will take and read that row definition out of Management Reporter and put it over here in ActivReporter, and you see it's right there called the Fab Balance Sheet. I'm going to finish up that program, and then I'm going to go over and look at it. I'll first activate it so I can use it, and then I will look at it, and you can see that it will have exactly the same information that we do here in the Management Reporter row definition. So for example, the row code 130 has all the accounts between 1100 and 1130, and the single accounts 1190 and 1800, which is exactly what I have over here in Management Reporter. So what we've done is we've been able to extract the Management Reporter row definition and put it into ActivReporter. Now, all I need to do is go back into that financial design that we're working on called Trensoft Financial. I'm going to open that financial design a third time, go into the workbook. I need to give it a date, just like I did before. As soon as I give it a date, all the numbers are filled in. I will go to a third sheet, and now I'm going to do something very similar to what I did a few minutes ago, create a balance sheet, current versus prior year, but this time I'm going to use the row definition out of Management Reporter, and therefore it will build me a template financial in Excel that matches the data that we have in this financial design in Management Reporter. Now it doesn't do a few things. It doesn't put any of the labels in, and it doesn't put any of the subtotaling in. So all of these labels and subtotals you do need to add, but you just do that one time. And then once that's done, you can use that financial over and over and over again, just like you do your Management Reporter reports today. So you keep using them over and over and over again. You never have to go back to Management Reporter at all. This is a one-time transition from Management Reporter to ActivReporter. Okay, so now that we're going to save this spreadsheet, we're going to save our design, and now you'll notice that we have 3 versions, one at 27 after the hour, at 34 after the hour, and at 39 after the hour. So now we have 3 versions. If we want to go back to one of those earlier versions, we can. We can even do this 6 months or a year or 2 years from now. We can reproduce those financials that we just produced. But now I want to look at Management Reporter trees, and this is where we're going to get into some new features that G2 has that you did not have in the first generation product. So I'm going to go to my financial designs here, and I'm going to look at a specific design called Regional Manager Report. This design has already been dressed up. It's got all of the beautification. It's got the lipstick on it. So we can go in and pull up that financial design called Regional Manager Report, give it a date, April of 2017, and now this is the report that we want to look at and see how we can produce our trees. You'll notice that this has 2 tabs on it. It has a period year-to-date total and a period year-to-date by department. Well, before I really show that to you, I want to show you a little bit about let me find it here. I want to show you the diagram for the company that we're showing in this sample. Okay, so The company that we're showing here is a company, we call it a fast food chain. And with a fast food chain, we have a lot of reporting necessities. We have a store here on 82nd Street, a store at 4th and Q, a store on North University, and all of these stores report to the Lubbock Regional Manager. We also have a store in Midland on Main Street, Park Mall, Live Oak, and they all report to the Midland Manager. And the same thing with Abilene. And then all of these regional managers reports to the CFO of the entire organization. So we need reports for the Lubbock Manager, for the Midland Manager, for the 82nd Street Store Manager. But we also have another level of organization that we need to report on. We have a grocery department in each store. We have a snacks department in each store. We have a soft drinks department in each store. But these managers are managers over all the stores, not just a single store. So we need to produce a financial or some sort of a diagram, some sort of financial information for the grocery manager for all of his stores. So with the tree structure that we now have in Generation 2, we can report on any or all of the above. So how do we do that? So if you're familiar with ActivReporter, you know that from a historical standpoint, we could go into our options here, and we could go down here into the iteration limits, and we could say, I want to report on the division, and I want to report on a specific division, and that division is one store, the 82nd Street store. And now when we do that, and we go back and calculate, then all of the numbers that are on the spreadsheet now are just for that 82nd Street store, and we actually named it in the process. Or if we wanted to do something for our grocery manager, we could erase this, and we could say, I want to produce this for a department, and that department might be the grocery department. So I'm going to report for the grocery department across all stores, and I refresh the data here, and now this is actually I'm producing the grocery, snacks, and soft drinks all together here. Or if you want to look at this is just the grocery department. So I've got a lot of reporting going on in this one spreadsheet. Well, that's the hard way to do this. We in G2 have introduced a new mechanism called the financial tree reporting mechanism. And we can produce all of these reports, not having to go into them one at a time and producing the reports and then disseminating them, printing them out to a PDF or a spreadsheet and disseminating them. So now I want to show you that functionality, and it's done with something we call our financial tree reporting bot. So I can run the financial tree reporting bot, and it needs some data. It needs to know what financials to produce and who to email them to or where to put them in the file structure. And we do that, since all of you are accountants, all of you are very familiar with Excel, we do that with an Excel spreadsheet. So we have an Excel spreadsheet that has 2 tabs on it. On the first tab, we tell what reports we want to produce. On the second tab, it will tell who to send them to. So on the first tab, we're going to produce an enterprise report. And this enterprise report is going to have 9 tabs on it. The first tab will be our 82nd Street store. The second tab will be our 4th and Q store, and so forth. So there's a tab for every store, and then down at the ending, there's an all-in-one, or all the stores presented together. We want to produce another spreadsheet called Lubbock, and this spreadsheet will have 4 tabs on it with similar type information, but just for the Lubbock stores. And the same thing for Midland, and the same thing for Abilene. So those are the reports that we're going to produce. Now, we're only producing 4 reports here. You could literally produce 100 reports, all with this one facility. Now, who are going to be the recipients for that? We're going to send to the Lubbock division manager. We're going to send his reports, but temporarily he's also managing Abilene. So we're sending him the Lubbock and the Abilene reports. We're sending somebody else the Midland reports. So this just shows you how we're going to disseminate them. It also gives you the ability to override, to attach other documents to this. You could be sending one to your bank and you need to attach a current AR and a current AP aged reports and things like that. So you can also have attachments that you're attaching to this email that we're going to send these people. But in our particular case, we're only going to produce two. We're only going to send information to two managers just in lieu of time. So I will put that away. And now how do I use this? Well, I'm going to go back to the financial designs. I'm going to go to this same regional manager report, and I'm going to run this bot. A bot is an automated procedure, and ActivReporter has the ability to design and build all kinds of bots. The financial tree reporting bot is just one that we've done, and we can disseminate to you. In the dialog here, you pick out the month and the year that you want to produce this financial. You also reference that configuration file that we just opened and showed to you over here on the desktop that shows you what reports that we're going to build and who we're going to send them to. So we can pull that report and distribution matrix. I didn't mean to bring it up again. I just wanted to reference it here, this report and distribution matrix. And then you can have a subject and you can have a body to your email, and you can tell whether or not you're going to send it from a generic address on your mail server or from an individual. So once we do all of that, we just say next, and it's going to do all that work for you. Literally hundreds of reports to hundreds of people if you want. And you can produce all of those and let the computer do the work rather than you're having to do it. Now, this is going to take a few minutes to do. So rather than us waiting here and watching this happen, I'm going to start another copy of ActivReporter, and I want to show you some more functionality that I promised to show you at the first. And this functionality has to do with the trial balance. So you're familiar with the trial balance that's over here in Dynamics GP. It's just a report to the screen or to the printer. And you know, it's very valuable, but it typically didn't provide all the information you wanted. So most people went in and built their own trial balance of sorts in SmartList. But what I want to show you is a trial balance like you've never seen a trial balance before. And this particular trial balance is for the month of April 2017. And we have a column here for the beginning balance. And I didn't mean to sort it by that, but you can, you just saw it. The debits, the credits, the net activity, and the ending balance. Now we call this a dynamic report because it is alive. It reacts immediately to any changes in Dynamics GP. So I'm going to do what I did earlier. I'm going to go over here into Dynamics GP and I'm going to make a posting. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to make a posting. I'm going to put it into the ABC batch this time. So I want to make an ABC batch. And yes, I want just a unposted entry and save that batch. I'll give it a date in April of 2017, since that's where my trial balance is. So 04, 12, 17. I'll give it a reference of 22. And now I'm going to post into this account 1102, and I'm going to make an offsetting posting into 1106. And again, I've got $1 million on my mind, so 0001102, 00 for $1 million, except I didn't do that right, 0001102, 00 for $1 million. And 000110500 for an offsetting $1 million. And now I save it. Now remember, if I haven't hit the save button yet, remember a few minutes ago when I did this for the Excel spreadsheet, what did I have to do to get the Excel spreadsheet to recognize that posting? I had to hit the F9 key. so it regenerated the data. Well, this time when I hit the save button, my hands are off the keyboard. I didn't have to do anything. But did you see those $1 million come up there? So literally, you can watch yourself work. Now, I know most of the people in the audience are professional accountants, and you never get your debits and credits mixed up. But some of us are amateurs, and I like to use this because I can watch myself make postings in Dynamics GP and make sure that I've got the debit and the credit in the right account at the right point in time. And you can watch other people work. If anyone is posting into Dynamics GP, if they're paying bills and depleting the cash account, if they're making sales and increasing the sales account, you can actually watch that happen real time as it's happening. And that's why we call this a dynamic trial balance. You don't have to regenerate your trial balance like you do in Dynamics GP, and you don't have to rerun your smart list to see that information. And of course, there's a little button up here to include unposted, so you can choose whether or not to include your unposted entries. And since that $1 million was in a batch, it is unposted, so it disappears when I say don't include my unposted entries. Okay, so we spent time showing you the trial balance while we were waiting for our financial tree reporting bot. You'll notice that all of that work was done. It sent the reports to myself. So I'm going to bring up my Outlook here. And if I'm lucky, all of them came through, and I'm actually out of town today. So I'm looking back at my, and here they are, that was sent at 1:49 p.m. This is the report that I just got. And here's the report for the Lubbock stores. And here is the 82nd Street store. And here is the sum by the grocery, snacks, and soft drinks. Here's the 4th and Q store. Same thing for 4th and Q. Here is the North University, and here is the single. This is the total for store 1, store 2, and store 3, and the total for all of those stores. So literally, you can disseminate any financial information to anyone via email or through a shared folder or wherever you want to put it. And you can do a lot of work with the financial tree reporting bot very rapidly. Okay, so I've shown you all the features that we want to talk about in ActivReporter. Let's go back just for a minute and let's look at our PowerPoint, and let's conclude with the pricing information. So I will bring back up the PowerPoint here. And I know that most of you are in a situation where you have a few Dynamics GP databases. We sell it in multiples of 10 databases at a time. So if you have anywhere between 1 and 10 Dynamics GP databases, we do not charge for users, so you literally can send these reports out to anyone. I didn't show this to you, but if those people who are getting those emailed copies of the financial designs, if you want to let them connect back to the data, they can do their own drill down and drill back if you want to allow that. So there's no limit to the number of users that you have with the pricing. We do all the installation assistance with you, no limit there, and 4 hours of training, all for a one-time initial fee of $2,500 and then $1,800 per year. An unbelievable value for what you get out of the ActivReporter product. Okay, Bobby, I finished. I don't know if there are any questions. I think that Sarah must have not been in our, she had jury duty today. Sarah, have you been able to answer questions as we proceeded here? Have there been any questions?
Well, I have not got any questions, but I have one for you.
Okay.
What if someone is a current
You
G1?
planned this so I could answer it, right?
Yes, I did.
Okay, I hope so. because Sarah knows much more about this than I. Go ahead.
If someone's a current G1 user of ActivReporter, what's involved in upgrading? Is it the same cost as a new purchase?
No, there is a special price, and you may have to help me. I think it's a $500 fee to go from generation 1 to generation 2. And then the pricing is increased from the, I believe, just the delta in the pricing is all you have to pay. I think it's $70 or $80 is the delta in the pricing. So that's the difference in G1 and G2. I didn't also talk about some other features of G2. G2 has an aid so that if you ever do get out of balance between your postings in GP and ActivReporter, you don't have to reseed. There's a update procedure that you can go get all of the postings that are that are different, and you don't have to shut everybody out of GP to reseed. There's also something called column filters, which are really handy in filtering some of that data that we showed you, like in the drill down Explorer. Okay, are there any other questions?
Not that I'm seeing come through, but
Bobby, if there are no
Bob.
other questions, I'll turn it back over to you.
Perfect. Well, great. Well, a big thank you to Marvin and the AccountingWare team for today's webinar. As we discussed, when your team is ready to begin, generating your GP financial reports directly in Excel, please contact me. My information was shown there previously. My phone number, yep, there it is, 859-514-1199, or bhaggard@trentsoft.com. Just reach out to me. I'll be happy to get connected with the AccountingWare team, get that order submitted, and we'll absolutely take care of you guys in that regard. And then additionally, one last reminder here, please complete that survey at the end of the webinar, and you'll be entered into the drawing for that $25 Amazon gift card. With that, again, just a big thank you, Marvin, to you for presenting. Thanks to all of you attendees for being on. And if you have any questions, post webinar, please reach out. Please don't hesitate to reach out. With that, we just again want to thank you all for attending, and we hope you have a great rest of your day. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Bobby. Thank you.